Yeah, we back. Now today we're gonna debunk some old time propaganda. You know, we gotta put it to rest, man. We gotta just really put the facts out on the table and really just give the real talk, man, because I'm tired of this nonsensical narrative that y'all always give, this psychological operation where y'all make the Europeans seem all powerful and then you make black governments seem like, you know, they have no leverage in negotiation, they have no leverage, no force that they can wield on the table, that they're just helpless and ready to be conquered at any given moment by the almighty Europeans. You know, we're gonna give the real facts on, did Haiti agree to pay reparations to France, or were they forced to pay reparations to France? And this video was inspired for multiple reasons. The number one reason was this tweet here that I got up on the screen that says, Haiti was the first black country to get its independence from France in 1804. Since then, Haiti has been paying dearly for it. At the end of 1947, Haiti had paid $21 billion in compensation to France as colonial tax. France and other European allies still dominate Haiti. Now, let me correct that. That was not a colonial tax. That was an agreement between two sovereign nations, one sovereign nation agreeing to compensate the other sovereign nation. Okay, it was not called a colonial tax. It was two men negotiated and they came to an agreement of payment. Now we're going to explain how that came to be. How did the first black republic end up paying reparations to French human traffickers? How did that happen? Let's talk about it today, and y'all can finally put that victim mentality BS to rest. Oh my God, the almighty powerful Europeans forced us to pay billions of dollars. That's not how it happened, bro. Stop this nonsense. Y'all got this fetish. Y'all got this humiliation fetish of the Europeans beating down on y'all. Y'all keep repeating nonsense that they made up. The Europeans made that whole story up, bro. They did not send 50 million gunboats to the shores and then the president of Haiti then run out the presidential palace with a briefcase full of money and gave it to the captain of the French ship. Like, that did not, man, stop repeating that BS, man. Let me tell you what really happened, okay? Jesus Christ. Another reason I'm doing this video is because I constantly get comments, emails, DMs asking me to go in detail about this whole, you know, how did Haiti pay reparations to French human trafficking slave owners? So you know what? Let's talk about it, man. Grab a seat. Let's run through the history. Let's get into it. Now, in case you didn't know, visit my playlist section of my channel and you'll see I have various playlists, one of them being called The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years. It is a multi-part series where I go into detail about the regime of King Henry Christophe, who was ruling over the northern section of Haiti from the year 1802 to 1820. Okay, if you want a very in-depth look about how Haiti was being governed, ran, and what was life like during that time, go to that playlist. Listen to that whole documentary. You'll enjoy it. And I'm going to insert some snippets from that documentary in this video right here because I went into detail about this subject in previous videos, but I'll run down the history real quick so y'all can finally stop repeating that BS that the Europeans made up to make themselves seem all powerful, and it was just one big psychological operation on the minds of black people. It was one big made up story conjured up to instill fear and make you scared to ever stand up to the Europeans as a black person, because in the back of your mind you always think about how, oh my God, the French, they came back and they, oh my God, they made the Haitians pay so much money. Okay, anyways, let's put the facts, man. First things first, Haiti gained its independence in the year 1804. The rebellion popped off in the year 1791. The French came to an agreement with the Haitian government in 1825 for the quote-unquote reparations. Now, what was happening between 1791 and 1825, the year the rebellion broke out, all the way up until the reparations agreement was made? Now, let's discuss that in this video because the story that is given is very simplistic. You know, the account from the European perspective that everyone loves to run with is, okay, the Haitians, they rebelled, they took up arms, and then they won their independence, and then right after they paid the money. Okay, I mean, that was like over 30 years of history condensed to 2 sentences. Okay, so let's go into detail. As we know, the rebellion broke out in the northern part of Haiti, 1791. A couple years later, around 1793 or 1794, I believe, the French government decided to emancipate all the slaves living in their colonies. This included the slaves living in other islands as well, outside of Haiti. This decision was made because there were so many different generals, such as Toussaint Louverture aligning with the Spanish army, basically defecting to different European sides, different European crowns. So in order to bring everybody back into the fold, the French government capitulated and decided that slavery would be abolished in all its territories, right? In the mid-1790s, the two most powerful generals on the island were Toussaint Louverture up north and André Rigaud down south. Toussaint Louverture, as we know, black man, born in the colony, born into slavery. His base of power was in the northern section of Haiti. Andre Rigaud, not born into slavery, the son of a white man and a black woman. I repeat, the son of a white man, which means the patriarch that he looks up to, the man that he looks up to, the man that he was brought up under, the man whose tutelage that he was raised up under, was a white European man. Always keep that in mind. That is a very important element of this discussion, of this video, and it plays an immensely heavy role on why the French were able to come to an agreement with the Haitian government in the year 1825, and you'll understand why I say that later down the line. Toussaint Louverture held power in the north because that is where the major plantations were situated. That was where the most prosperous plantations were situated, right? The big plantations owned by the big Frenchmen, big rich Frenchmen, right? So naturally, because the enslaved population was heavily populated up north, Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henry Christophe, their base of power was always held up north. The reason why Andre Rigaud held power down south is because down south was where the sons of the white men and the black women, that is where they held their base of power. That is where they were in control of the large plantations. That is where they had their business operations, right? The southern section of Haiti, that was where they held sway. That is why Andre Rigaud rose to prominence as the most powerful general of that area. Now, but you have to understand, this was always a mixed society. I'm not saying that down south was only populated by the sons of the white men. No. It was a mixed society all across the board, but Andre Rigaud held power down south, Toussaint Louverture held power up north, but they both had mulattoes and blacks within their ranks. So it wasn't really a matter of color per se. It wasn't really a light skin versus dark skin thing. In reality, it was a conflict of ideology, right? On one side, you have a group of men who were educated in France, born in the colony, raised in France. And when they returned from France, they ended up becoming big entrepreneurs, proprietors of estates, etc., etc. You know what I mean? They were having money. They were doing their thing. Now, they obviously didn't have the same political rights as the full-blooded white men, but they lived a more luxurious life compared to the black man who was limited to the plantation and a life of misery. And in this video, I'm not going to use the term mulatto. I'm going to use the term the sons of the white men because it drives the point home a little bit harder, especially since that video went viral the other day of that black woman claiming that biracials with black mothers are allegedly more culturally black or whatever BS she said. You can check out my video I dropped the other day debunking that nonsense, but Jesus Christ, man. People got to study history. But anyways, let's get back into it, man. I covered this information in previous videos, but in the year 1798 or maybe early 1799, around the late 1790s, the French government had sent a representative or an ambassador or an agent by the name of Thomas Edouville, right? Thomas Edouville was, as we can say, an agent of chaos. His stay on the island was very short, as Toussaint Louverture ran him out and threatened to kill him. And the reason why Toussaint Louverture had threatened to kill him was because Thomas Edouville had approached Toussaint with a plan and told him that he should have Andre Rigaud arrested and then take complete rulership over the island for himself. Toussaint Louverture rejected that offer because he would not betray Rigaud, as he saw Rigaud as a comrade in arms, as a brother in arms. He approached Andre Rigaud with the same plan, to assassinate Toussaint or arrest Toussaint to take rulership of the island for himself. And the reason why Thomas Edouville approached both of these men with this idea was because it was standard divide and conquer employed by the Europeans as usual, right? You get one side to fight against the other side, and then the victorious side, you come in and conquer that side and take everybody over and assume rulership for yourself. Standard divide and conquer. And Thomas Edouville, he was victorious because Andre Rigaud did attempt to assassinate Toussaint Louverture. Andre Rigaud did mobilize troops against Toussaint Louverture, and this was the pretext. These were the actions that led up to the 1799 War of Knives. Take a look up on the screen. The War of Knives was a civil war from June 1799 to July 1800 between the Haitian revolutionary Toussaint Louverture, a black ex-slave who controlled the north of Haiti, and his adversary Andre Rigaud, a mixed race free person of color who controlled the south. Louverture and Rigaud fought over de facto control of the French colony during the war. Their conflict followed the withdrawal of British troops from the colony during the early stages of the Haitian Revolution. The war resulted in Toussaint taking control of the entirety of the island and Rigaud fleeing into exile. As we can see to the right, the date, June 1799, location, Jacmel, result, Pro Toussaint victory, Toussaint assumes control of the entirety of the island. Rigaud and the mixed race officers flee into exile. Reprisals and massacres against Rigaud supporters. The belligerents, pro-Toussaint forces versus pro-Rigaud forces, and then you see the naval support from the United States. The reason why the French government especially hated the black generals was because in their minds, they could not be trusted, right? Because Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, Christophe, etc., they would align with anybody who would be of service to their agenda, right? Whether that's the United States, whether that's the Spaniards, whether that's the British, where even if that's the French, when they emancipated the slaves and they briefly aligned with the French, the black slaves had no loyalty in particular to the French flag, whereas the southern mulatto generals, I'm not going to use mulatto, the sons of the white men from the South, they always remained loyal to the French flag up until the very end. They never switched sides to the British. They never switched sides to the Spanish. They stayed loyal to the French tricolor up until the very end, right? And to be honest, neither Toussaint Louverture or General Andre Rigaud really had any plans to fully emancipate the colony from France, right? In both of their minds, they were willing to go into a Commonwealth type of operation, right? This was before the British established their own Commonwealth system. They were willing to pretty much operate as a autonomous, quasi-independent colony under independent rulership, right? But they'll still pledge allegiance to France, right? So Toussaint and Andre Rigaud had a Commonwealth situation in mind. And thankfully, both of them got moved out the way, and then Dessalines led the colony to complete independence, severed away from France 100%. So, I'm glad both of them kind of got pushed to the side, to be honest. But anyways, let's get back to the story. Shortly after the War of Knives, Rigaud and his officers and his supporters included his protégés, Alexander Pétion and Jean-Pierre Boyer, two men that we'll discuss later on in this video. They also went into exile in France. Now, if these men were not backed by the French government, why did the French government allow them to go into exile for 2 to 3 years before they returned in 1802 with the French invading army to reinstate slavery? But of course, once they realized that they also would be put to the sword or they would also be sent to jail, they switched sides and joined the rebel side. They joined Dessalines, they joined Christophe, etc., right? In typical fashion, the sons of the white men, swaying wherever the wind blows, whether that's on the black side or the white side, depending on which day of the week. We never really know what the sons of the white men, you know what I'm saying? We never really know what the sons of the white men gonna do. It is what it is, Now, when I say that is not to say that there weren't a few sons of the white men who were honorable, who stood on business, who stood on integrity. There were, to name a few, we got to name General Clairvaux, we got to name Baron de Vasty, Christophe's second in command. And in fact, if you go to my playlist section, I have a playlist entitled Memoirs from the Haitian Revolution, which was written by Baron de Vasty. Check that out. Very honorable, one of our great ancestors, one of my favorites personally. So I'm not going to paint with a broad brush, but we got to keep it real and we got to tell it like it is. So let's get back into the story. As we know, the French invaded in 1802, they were defeated, and then independence was declared under Dessalines in 1804. Dessalines only spent about 2 years on the throne before he was assassinated in late 1806. Shortly after, the country was divided once again, just as it was in the late 1790s when Toussaint Louverture controlled the north and Andre Rigaud controlled the south. Only this time, General Henri Christophe controlled the north and General Alexander Pétion controlled the south. As we know, General Henri Christophe, the son of a black man. General Alexander Pétion, the son of a white man. Both of these men were the sons of black women, but only one of these men was the son of a black man. And only one of these men was able to stand head to head, look the French government in the eye, hold his nuts and say, nigga, fuck you, I ain't paying you a dime, bitch, suck my dick. Meanwhile, the other one, the son of the white man and the black woman, he agreed. He wrote a letter to the French government saying, I'm willing to pay what you're asking for. Now, Alexander Pétion, he died in 1818. Now, remember, the French came to an agreement in 1825. So he died in 1818. So he did not pay the reparations to France. Both of these men were dead by the time 1825 came around and the French government ended up coming to an agreement with the Haitian government because, as we know, General Christophe, he died in 1820. So that's why I say the story, the way it's told, is so simple. Oh, the Haitian Revolution popped off, and then boom, they just paid the money, as if it wasn't years and years and years of things happening in between that time. And if you want to go more in detail, learn about that, go to my playlist section. As I said, I have a playlist called The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years, where we discuss life during the reign of King Henry Christophe. Man, go listen to that, man. Go listen to that. You'll get a very detailed account of what was happening in Haiti during that time, right? And in fact, I'm going to insert a little clip from that documentary that I put out, which goes into detail about how General Christophe maneuvered through negotiations with the French government. And also, we have to understand, after independence was declared, there were over 21 military forces established by Dessalines and Christophe as a defense strategy against incoming French invasion. They didn't know when the French were going to come, but in their mind, it's either going to be liberty or death. We're not going to pay a dime to them bitch ass Frenchmen. So no, the black man up north were never, ever going to pay money to no French government, ever. Go to my playlist section, go to The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years, watch that whole documentary that I put out, watch that whole series, and you'll understand the mentality of the black man, especially the ones up north. And you can contrast that to how the sons of the white men were maneuvering with negotiations to the French government. And we're going to discuss that in the video today. I'm going to insert it in this video, so don't worry about nothing, man. But there was a very different attitude from the son of the black men, the sons of the black men, and the sons of the white men. And if you want my opinion on how the French were able to come to an agreement for reparations that we ended up paying for over 100 and damn near 20 years, it's because the French, let me just put it in simple terms, they simply outsmarted the Haitians. They simply waited out the Haitians. They waited for Dessalines to die. He died in 1806. They waited for Christophe to die. He died in 1820. And Toussaint was already dead in 1803. So all the big chiefs, all the big, you know what I'm saying, the big dogs, the big dog status, the big generals, right? Toussaint, Dessalines, Christophe, they all were dead by the year 1820. And it's no surprise, by 1825, the French government ended up finding a regime that was friendly to their terms and conditions, and they ended up coming to an agreement. It was not a forced agreement. They did not send 750 gunboats to the damn shores to intimidate the population. Stop. Y'all gotta stop repeating that bullshit, especially if you Haitian. Stop repeating that bullshit. Stop repeating that victim mentality nonsense that the French government came through and the population was so scared and then we ran out and paid a bunch of money. Man, stop that bullshit, bro. Stop that. You think Christophe built the citadel because they were scared? You think we built over 21 military fortresses because we were scared or we were ready to fight? No, it's because the sons of the white men were open to negotiations. Why? Why were they open to negotiations? Because they were the sons of the white men, because they were the grandsons of the white men, because they were the nephews of the white men, because they were the cousins of the white men. Okay, that's why. Okay, and the reason why I say the French simply outsmarted us is because, listen, they played the long game. They played the long game. The French simply played the long game. They simply said, okay, we're going to wait until we get a regime that is open to negotiations, a regime that is friendly, because Dessalines' regime was not friendly to the French. Christophe's regime was not friendly to the French. In fact, Christophe actually had a French ambassador murdered when he actually came to Christophe's territory to negotiate with him. Christophe had him killed. So the French simply decided to just wait it out. And in 1825, they finally had a regime that was friendly to their terms and conditions. And that regime was led by none other than General Jean-Pierre Boyer. Jean-Pierre Boyer came to power in 1818. He was the protege of André Rigaud and Alexander Pétion. After Alexander Pétion died, he was appointed as the successor. And during this time, the country was still divided into two sovereign nations. The Kingdom of Haiti, up north, controlled by Christophe, and down south, the Southern Territory was now under his rulership in the Southern Republic of Haiti, under Jean-Pierre Boyer. When Christophe committed suicide in late 1820, Jean-Pierre Boyer united the both sections of the island, and they came under his rulership. Shortly afterwards, in 1821 or 1822, he united the entire island, including the Spanish-speaking part of the island, under Haitian rulership. Jean-Pierre Boyer now controlled the entire island in 1822. And contrary to popular belief, the French didn't have to send 750,000 gunboats to the shores to intimidate the Haitian population, because Jean-Pierre Boyer was actively campaigning. He was actively sending delegations to France as a means to come to an agreement. He was eager to come to an agreement with the French government, right? He was eager to get the validation from the French. He was eager to get the authorization from the French to officially be a sovereign nation. he was willing to pay whatever. He was willing to accept whatever debt that the French were willing to impose, even though the debt set us back for over 100 years and we paid it until 1947. But listen, he was the son of a white man. And not only was Jean-Pierre Boyer the son of a white man and a black woman, but he never spent a day in slavery in his life. He was up in France, going to the best universities, the best military academies. He was a battalion commander at the French Revolution. Bro, he doesn't know nothing about the institution of slavery. He don't know nothing about no slave ship. He don't know nothing about no goddamn Africa. He don't know nothing about none of that black shit y'all be talking about. This is a man who was raised in Europe by his white father. This was a man who spent his entire life fighting for the French army. This is a man whose loyalties lie in Europe and in France. Okay, so when we say that, oh my God, the French army came and no. The regime that was in charge in the 1820s, around the year 1824, 1825, when the agreement was made, this was a regime that was friendly to the French government. This was a regime that was not hostile to the French government, unlike Christophe's regime and Dessalines' regime, where if a Frenchman even stepped foot in the territory, you were liable to get killed. It was not the same under Alexander Pétion and Jean-Pierre Boyer, who were the protégés of André Rigaud, the rival who fought against Toussaint Louverture in the 1799 War of Knives that we discussed earlier. So you notice that between the years 1799 up until 1825, what happened was the French simply waited and waited and waited. They sat back and waited until they found a regime that was friendly to their interests, right? Jean-Pierre Boyer's regime, he was friendly to their interests because he was the son of a white man. He was not the son of a black man. And people try to minimize the importance of that fact, but that's a major fact. That's a major, heavy element in the storyline where the sons of the black men, they had their own interests and ideas and vision for the country. And the sons of the white men, they had their own interests and ideas and vision for the country. And then the sons of the white men ended up reigning supreme. They united the North and the South, and then they united the French-speaking part and the Spanish-speaking part of the island and came to an agreement, a peaceful agreement. It wasn't a hostile agreement. The money was not taken at gunpoint. No. The sons of the white men simply decided to pay back their fathers for their lost property, which in their mind was also their lost property because they were their sons and they were going to inherit the properties and the estates anyway. So we have to stop this narrative where we think that the French intimidated the Haitian government when that was not the case. It was a peaceful agreement between two sovereign nations. The sons of the white men, simply paid their fathers back, and it is what it is. It is what it is. That's all it was. Stop repeating that nonsense that Haiti had to pay all this money by the force of gunpoint. It was not the case, bro. Stop it, please. Now, to finish up this video, I'm going to attach a little scene from my documentary that I put out. Like I said, go to my playlist section, The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years. I'm going to attach a segment from part 3 of that series where I go into detail about how Christophe maneuvered through negotiations with the French government. And also we are going to talk about the legendary Citadel, that big, large, monumentous mountaintop fortress that Christophe built, the largest military fortress in the world, built by black men. Yes, indeed. We are going to talk about that as well. So if Christophe built a citadel, the largest military fortress on the planet, then he had no plans to pay a dime towards the French, right? But unfortunately, Christophe died in 1820. And then, the road was clear for the French to come to an agreement with the incoming administration. And it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So in summary, before I run the footage, I just want to say the reason why they tell that story in the way it is, it's just a psychological operation for you to believe that the Europeans are all powerful and can be defeated, when in reality, their sons were the ones who sold the country out. Their sons. But it's not a luxurious story, right? They can't say, oh yeah, I was smashing this black woman in the back of the slave quarters, and then, her biracial son ended up growing up and selling the country out. That's not a luxurious story. They got to make themselves seem all powerful. So they talk about these imaginary gunboats that came to the shores and had the whole population scared. That was not the case, bro. That was not the case. Your half-breed son decided to cut you a check, and that was that. So anyways, I'm going to run the footage. Check it out. It's your boy Neferkari Dessalines. Peace. Separation from France had been a fait accompli since 1804, but Haiti was still regarded by her as a colonial possession. Thus, Christophe, as never wholly free from the fear of a new attempt to repossess Haiti, and as was necessary for him to always be on alert with hundreds of men under arms who could have been more profitably engaged in agriculture, Christophe had followed with the greatest concern the long and exhausting war which culminated in the defeat of Napoleon and his abdication on March 31st, 1814, but the accession of Louis XVIII threw him into an agony of suspense. Since the armies of France, now freed from war in Europe, were in a position to deal with the former colony of Saint-Domingue, and since Christophe had no way of knowing what action the new French king and his advisors might take, he presented the position of Haiti to France, to his subjects, and to the nations of the world by means of 3 public announcements. First, his foreign minister, the Comte de Limonade, sent a congratulatory address to an agent in London with instructions to publish it in the French journals. The message expressed a friendly disposition towards the French royal family, evinced satisfaction as the defeat of Napoleon, and announced Christophe's willingness to resume commercial relations with France as long as the laws of Haiti were observed. Rather shrewdly, it was pointed out that Christophe possessed a large military establishment ready for any emergency, but that these warlike preparations had been made in anticipation of a new assault by Napoleon. Next, Christophe published a proclamation to his people on August 15, 1814. He congratulated them upon the downfall of Napoleon, an event removing the fear of re-enslavement under which they had lived for so long. If, he declared, the French government is favorably disposed to the Haitians, then the way is open for a commercial treaty advantageous to France and honorable to Haiti. If, on the contrary, our eternal enemies, the French colonists, persuade the French to send another expedition, we will show to the nations of the earth what a warlike people can accomplish, who are in arms for the best of causes, the defense of their homes, their wives, their children, their liberty, and their independence. As his final effort during this period of uncertainty, Christophe issued on September 18, 1814, a manifesto to justify before the Tribunal of Nations the legitimacy of our independence. Reviewing the events in Haiti from time of the abolition in 1793, he showed that the Haitians were loyal to France until General Charles Leclerc made it evident that Napoleon intended to restore slavery. He appealed to all sovereigns of the world, to the brave and loyal British nation, to mankind at large, to the whole universe, to witness the determinations of the Haitians to remain free, and declared that we will never become a party to any treaty, to any condition that may compromise the honor, the liberty, or the independence of the Haitian people. Christophe indeed was justified in his fear and suspicion of France. No sooner was Louis XVIII on the throne that the old colonial party raised a clamor for the recovery of Saint-Domingue, a demand with which Pierre Victor Malou, a former plantation owner in the colony and now Minister of the Marines, was in full agreement. It was decided, however, to postpone military intervention and to send out a commission for the purpose of ascertaining the actual state of affairs in Haiti. You know, they got to send the agents first, you know what I mean? The secret instructions to the commissioners offers another example of French tactics. The commissioners were to present themselves in Haiti as merchants or as agents of some mercantile establishment and to reveal their true identity only after they had made preliminary observations. They were first to communicate with General Alexander Pétion, the mulatto leader of the South, to whom they were to promise a perfect assimilation to the whites and a participation in all of their advantages of fortune and honor. They were to persuade him that the Negroes ought to be returned to slavery, or at least forced labor on the plantation, and that the former white proprietors should again take possession of their former estates. The French believed that Pétion would agree to such arrangement for his own safety and personal benefit. Should he hesitate, the commissioners were to declare that the king will make the full weight of his power to be felt. Concerning Christophe, the French were less certain, but it was pointed out that he could easily be subdued once Pétion agreed to their plans. It is evident that France had a twofold project in view: to facilitate the conquest of Haiti by widening the breach between General Alexander Pétion and King Henry Christophe, and to restore slavery and the old colonial system. Late in August 1814, the 3 French commissioners, Laves, Medina, and Draverman, arrived in Jamaica. After gaining what information they could from the ex-colonists residing there, Laves wrote to Pétion, who invited them to come to Port-au-Prince. In the subsequent correspondence, Laves indicated the willingness of the French king to welcome back the former colony to France, and pointed out that it would be better for Pétion and the mulatto leaders to enjoy rights as French citizens than to be treated as barbaric savages or hunted as maroon Negroes. You know, they playing into that mulatto insecurity, you know. A lot of these dudes were abandoned by their father, ignored by their white side of the family. A lot of them were insecure. A lot of them tried their best to assimilate to the culture of the white man. So they playing into that, you know, that need for acceptance. You know, you finally be accepted as a European, you know. Ain't that what you want? You know what I mean? You want to be with the Negroes? You want to be, you know what I mean, with your pops. You know what I'm saying? You want to be up in France, up in Paris, you know what I mean, with the French elites. You know what I'm saying? We know you want that. We never gave you that. But if you really want that, come on, man. Sign them papers, bro. Sign them papers, little bro. They already know they can play them type of games with General Alexander Pétion and the mulatto generals from the South. But it wouldn't go so smooth up north. In fact, one of the French commissioners, or the French ambassadors, I should say, ended up losing their life trying to play these games up north with Christophe. But we'll get into that later. Apparently believing the proclamations of goodwill on the part of Laves, Pétion carried on extensive negotiations. Christophe's conduct stands in sharp contrast to that of General Alexander Pétion. On October 1st, 1814, Laves dispatched a letter to Christophe through Montesquieu, who had long enjoyed Christophe's confidence and was one of the few Frenchmen permitted to remain in the Kingdom of Haiti. When Montesquieu returned to Haiti from Jamaica, his papers, along with the letter from Lavesse, were turned over to Dupuy, Christophe's secretary. The letter was highly insulting. Christophe was offered French citizenship and a title in return for his acknowledgement of the King of France, Louis XVIII. Lavesse warned Christophe that the European governments, including Great Britain, intended to unite their forces if necessary to overthrow all the governments that have arisen out of the French Revolution, whether in Europe or the New World. Should the Haitians resist, they would be annihilated. Lavesse concluded his letter by announcing that he was sending Medina to negotiate with Christophe. Franco de Medina would end up losing his life, and he was murdered inside the Citadel. I don't know why they went and send that boy to play them stupid games, man. I really don't know. I really thought, these guys claim that they smart, but I don't know, man. It is what it is. Let's get back into it. When Montesquieu surrendered the letter from Lavesse, he demanded an audience with Christophe, which was finally granted. In the conference, Montesquieu enlarged upon the contents of Lavesse's letter. Christophe, if you preferred, could have the sovereignty of the island of Tortuga, or he could retire to France, to the United States, or wherever he might choose to go. I set no value upon my throne or crown, Christophe replied, but what will my general officers, members of council, ministers, and secretaries say to this? To which Montesquieu answered, destroy those who embarrass you. You must rid yourself of them as soon as possible. Christophe then called in the members of the Privy Council, which had been convened to deliberate upon the contents of Lavesse's dispatch, and revealed what Montesquieu had said. The first impulse of the council was to kill the Frenchman on the spot, but Christophe insisted that Montesquieu be allowed to leave unscathed. In November, the French commissioner, Franco de Medina, who had formerly been a plantation owner in Spanish Santo Domingo, left Jamaica for the Dominican Republic, where he made a stop to inspect his estates. When he crossed the border into Haiti, Christophe, having been forewarned, was ready for him. He was proclaimed to be a spy and his papers were seized. Thus, Christophe came into possession of the secret instructions issued to the commissioners by the French cabinet and a full knowledge of the duplicity of the French. Medina was called before a military tribunal and interrogated. He not only confirmed the information in the instructions, but boldly revealed that the plans were actually underway in France for the invasion of Haiti. He was found guilty of treason, imprisoned, and murdered. Then Christophe sent the secret instructions and a full account of Medina's trial to General Alexander Pichon in order that he might be on his guard. Lavesse returned to France in January 1815 and was officially rebuked for having exceeded his authority. The French, nevertheless, went on with their preparations for an invasion of Haiti. Before they were ready, however, Napoleon's unexpected return from Elba in March 1815 and the precipitate flight of Louis XVIII plunged Europe again into war and put an end to their plans for the conquest of Haiti. Christophe employed the year 1815 in feverish activity. He not only increased the size of the army, but placed on a military footing all of the population capable of bearing arms. He made ready his inland fortresses, particularly the Citadel Henry, and assembled guns and ammunition. Pichon too prepared for the assault. So great was the fear of France that relations between the rival governments went on to become more friendly. Christophe went a step further and proposed a union of the entire country. Nothing came of this scheme, but it shows that the threat of a French invasion tended to unite the contending factions in Haiti. Louis XVIII regained his throne after the Battle of Waterloo, but it was not until a year later that the monarchy was able to turn its attention to Haiti. In 1816, two commissioners, Desfortanges and Esmangal, were dispatched to take over the civil and military administration of the island. This time, Pichon refused to enter into negotiations unless Haitian independence was recognized. Christophe's summary treatment of the French agent Medina, which was well known, and the new commissioners did not dare to land in his territory. Instead, they prevailed upon the captain of an American ship to deliver the communications for them. Cowards. These letters were presented to the governor at Cap Henri, the Duc de Marmelade. When he saw that they were addressed to Monsieur General Christophe at Cap Français, he returned them unopened to the American captain with a severe rebuke for being a party to this insult to the king and ordered him quit the harbor immediately. On a side note, I just want to point out, how come modern black leaders do not operate with this much dignity and this much pride in 2022? It seems like all of our leaders are just spineless nowadays, and this is why we got to study history to see how things were done when things actually worked and things were successful. Let's get back into it. Later, the French agents intercepted a brig off Gonaïves on the western coast of the island, and taking this opportunity to transmit their letters in a packet addressed to the commandant of the port, they were able to bring them to Christophe's attention. Taking no cognizance whatever of his kingdom, the communication refers to the colony of Saint-Domingue and expressed the wish of the French king to extend it to the blessings he has bestowed on France. His Majesty's only design in sending commissioners is to consolidate and legalize all that can exist without reducing from what is due to the dignity of his crown. Enraged at this new affront, Christophe issued a declaration on November 20th, 1816, asserting that he would not negotiate with France on any other footing other than that of power with power, sovereign with sovereign, king with king, and that preliminary basis of negotiation must be a recognition of the independence of Haiti, not only the kingdom, but Petron's territory in the south as well. Christophe insisted that no definitive treaty shall be concluded with this government without having previously obtained the good offices and mediation of a great maritime power, which will guarantee the faith of the treaty from being ever broken by the French. Neither the French flag nor individuals of that nation shall be admitted within any of the ports of the Kingdom of Haiti until the independence of Haiti has been definitively recognized by the French government. So in response to France, Christophe says, listen, ain't gonna be a French man or woman allowed within my territory until the French recognize my independence. This is coming 2 years after he already assassinated the ambassador that they sent to his territory. So listen, they already know Christophe on a different type of time right now, which is why on the second go around, they didn't even send nobody to his territory. They just skipped him altogether. They went straight to the south to General Alexander Petron. Let's get back into it. This positive statement put an end to all further attempts by the French to gain supremacy over Christophe. The two insidious attempts by the French to regain control of Haiti caused Christophe more than ever to seek the friendship of England. He knew only too well that his country could not stand in isolation, and he believed that his hope of winning a place in the community of nations lay with Great Britain. Then too, he had always admired the institution of the King, Lords, and the Commons as in England. He was determined to eradicate the last vestiges of French culture and, as far as possible, lean more towards English civilization. And he announced his intention of making English rather than French the official language of his kingdom. And in case you didn't know, in the north side of Haiti, up on a mountain about 3,000 feet in the sky, there lies a military fortress that was built by 20,000 black men. Right? Nobody talks about this, and I guarantee in about 500 to 800 years, they're gonna say aliens built it, they're gonna say white men built it, they're gonna say Martians built it, they're gonna say we don't even know how it got built. They're just gonna make up the same lies they make about the pyramids, about the citadel, and we gotta talk about it. The legendary, the illustrious, the grandiose Citadel La Ferrière, originally named after the general that commissioned the legendary monument, General Henry Christophe. When it was created, it was called Citadel Henry in the town of Cape Henry, which is now modern day Cap Haitien, after King Henry committed suicide. And they renamed all the legendary monuments, they shut down all the schools, and they shut down all of his legendary building projects, and all his socioeconomic plans for the nation all got cut short. And we can see that today because all of King Henry's monuments, the Royal Palace, the chateau, even the chapel, even the citadel are all laying in ruins. Now, they are categorized as quote-unquote UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but because proper honor and care has not been taken to these monuments, maybe due to the incoming administration that took over the nation after King Henry's death, they have not been maintained, at least not to the level that they should be. And in my opinion, the reason for that can just be boiled down to jealousy. As we know, in 1807, when the country was divided into two sections, the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Republic, the Northern Kingdom was known for the economic prosperity, the economic splendor that was reigning upon the nation during that era. As we know, the Southern Republic was poor in contrast. When the Southern mulatto generals took over around late 1820, they took over the entire island, and all of King Henry's projects were no longer in effect. The Citadel is a large early 19th century fortress situated on the Bonnet à l'Evêque mountaintop in the north side of Haiti. The imposing structure is located approximately 27 kilometers south of the city of Cape Henry, 15 kilometers southwest of the Three Bays protected area, and 8 kilometers uphill from the town of Milo. It was commissioned by the Haitian Revolutionary General Henry Christophe as a strategy to protect the new independent nation against French retaliation. Keep in mind, the Citadel was part of a system of military fortresses that were situated all across the island. Over 20 military fortifications were erected after independence. The reason why the Citadel is so famous is because it is situated 3,000 feet in the sky on a mountaintop, and many still to this day do not understand how they carried those large heavy bricks all the way up that mountaintop, 3,000 feet into the damn sky. Listen, bro. This is the same thing they said about the pyramids. How did they carry those big heavy stones all the way to the top? Listen, bro, we don't know how they did it, but all we know is black men did it. All right, that's all you need to know, and we're gonna take the credit, because I guarantee in 900 years they're gonna say white men did it. So we stamping it now, we getting it on paper now, we documenting it now, so our great grandkids can come back today and see this video from September 2022 and was like, all right, bet, yeah, we got the proof on wax. Yeah, white men didn't build this. Martians didn't build this. Aliens didn't come from space and build this. Hell nah. Black men built this, bruh. The citadel was built several kilometers inland atop a 900-meter mountain as means of providing the optimal military vantage point. The location enabled Haitian forces to strategically keep watch over a vast distance from the nearby valleys to the coastline. Cap Henry and the adjoining Atlantic Ocean are visible from the roof of the fortress. It is the largest military fortress in Haiti and one of the largest in the New World, and continues to serve as a symbol of Haitian independence and African excellence. The Haitians outfitted the fortress with over 300 cannons of varying size. The enormous stockpiles of cannonballs still sit in pyramidal stacks at the base of the fortress walls. Since its construction, the fortress has withstood numerous earthquakes, but a French attack never came, and it was eventually abandoned. Now, we got to correct it. It was not abandoned because a French attack never came. Like I told you, it was abandoned because Christophe, his kingdom, was invaded by his enemies in the Southern Republic, the mulatto generals from the South. He committed suicide. They came in, took over the territory, went into the Dominican Republic, united both sides of the island, took over the whole island, and then they abandoned everything that Christophe established because they looked at him as the enemy. They were rivals, and now they finally took over, and of course, they're not going to continue everything that he built. So no, it wasn't abandoned because of a French attack never coming, because that's not why it was used. In fact, the citadel was used as a prison. The citadel was used to stockpile crops for export, like coffee, tobacco, sugar, things like that. So, you know, when we got to sell things at the port, everything is up in the citadel. That's what it was used for. Also, when the French sent an ambassador in, I believe, 1814 or 1816, I believe his name was Franco de Medina, and he came to negotiate for reparations, right? This was before the mulatto generals came into power and agreed to pay reparations. This was over 10 years prior. And as soon as they landed in Christophe's territory, they went to the south where the mulattoes held control. They were welcomed in. You know, they had dinner, they had drinks, and they discussed it. They never came to an agreement yet, though, not for another 10 years. But when they came to Christophe's northern territory, they were stopped at the port. They were arrested. The ambassador was taken to the citadel, and he was assassinated. So as we know, the international community has had a bone to pick with Haiti for a while, especially how we came on the scene, just spraying everybody, knocking everything down. And then when we became a new nation, within 10 years of our existence, we assassinated the ambassador of France. So, them boys been had a grudge to pick with us, bro. So that's why when you see Haitians getting slandered on CNN, MSNBC, France 24, or whatever the media is over there, you have to understand this is a beef with them that goes back 2 centuries, over 200 years, bro. It's a beef that's everlasting. You know what I mean? It's a beef that's everlasting. When they lost over 100,000 men, man, they didn't get over that, bro. They didn't get over that. That's all I can say. They didn't get over that. In the event of an invasion, Christophe planned to have his military burn the valuable crops and food stocks along the coast and then retreat to the fortress, setting ambushes along the mountain path leading to the citadel. Christophe suffered a stroke in 1820, and some of his troops rebelled. Shortly afterwards, he committed suicide, according to legend, by shooting himself with a silver bullet. Loyal followers covered his body in quicklime and entombed him in one of the citadel's interior courtyards to prevent others from mutilating the corpse. The colossal physical dimensions of the fortress have made it a Haitian national symbol, featured on currency, stamps, and tourist ministry posters. The fortress walls rise 40 meters, 130 feet high, from the mountaintop, and the entire complex, including cannonball stocks, but excluding the surrounding grounds, covers an area of 10,000 square meters, 110,000 square feet. Workers laid the large foundation of stones of the fortress directly into the stone of the mountaintop, using a mortar mixture that included quicklime, molasses, and the blood of cows and goats, and cow hooves that they cooked to a glue and added to the mix and gave the mortar added strength and bonding power. So large cisterns and storehouses in the fortress's interior were designed to store enough food and water for over 5,000 defenders for up to 1 year. The fortress including living quarters for the king and his family in the event they needed to take refuge within the citadel walls. Other facilities included dungeons, bathing quarters, and bakery ovens. Like I said, dungeons. That's where you kept the political prisoners, the enemies of the state. That's where they were tortured. That's where they were assassinated. If you got locked up and sent up to the citadel, it was most likely that you were going to die in the citadel. That's where you were going to spend your final days. I'm going to keep it real with you. I just got to keep it real. I can't tell no lies, man.